voices in our head. You already know what I'm talking about. But now today, I want to get really a bit more practical on the how to do it. We spoke about what it is, and those voices, on the one hand, it is voices that protected us, helped us, got us through stuff. Then what happens is those voices becomes the filter we look at life through, which is a problem. I said when we started this mini-series within the series that something like 90-something% of what we experience in life is not true, is not real. Like we are in a matrix, but the matrix is in our heads. There's this system, this programming that filters everything that happens to us. And your relationship with your husband, wife, friends, family is filtered through this thing. Your relationship with people in general is filtered through your experiences, through your memories, and through your pain. So in other words, if I do this a lot. So when I disappear, I'm good at that. When I disappear, you've got a choice. How do you filter that? Daniel is angry at someone. Daniel, I said something and it offended Daniel. Now Daniel is not around. But it's because of your filter. It's got nothing to do with me. It's all about your filters. And your filters helped you somewhere, but those filters are lying to you. That's something really amazing is humans are created to identify lies. We are able to see and know when something's fake, unless we've become so blind to fakeness that we accept everything. So, our eyesight, specifically, is made to be able to see snakes in trees, because it's dangerous, right? But on stadsjapies, we've lost that ability. Have you ever gone on a game drive and this ranger is driving and all of a sudden stops and he says, there's a koerie over there. I'm like, is jy gerook? Like, there's nothing, it's bush. And it takes you like 10 minutes to sort of get your eyes in focus and to see, okay, there's something a blur there, but okay. But this oak has been trained to see in the bush. But I think he's not just trained, he's gone back to the original way we were made to operate in the bush, because they can see danger. We should also be able to see danger, but because we don't need that ability, we lose that ability. Now the same thing applies if we don't use our brains, we lose our ability to use our brain. And the less you use it, the dumber you get. So, what's my point here? Dat julle dom is. Nee. Ek check het of julle wakker is. The point is, the filters in our mind causes us to lose firstly, what God has for us, but also it causes us to lose the freedom and the promises and the future that we could have. The thinking always determines the destination. Always. You don't get successful by being lucky. Gary Player said, it's crazy how the more he practices, the luckier he gets. Such a great quote. It's like profound. Because it's not luck, it's the practice, it's the training, it's doing the work that gets you to the prize. We're going to read Philippians 4 from verse 4. There's a tikfout, hoor. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again I say rejoice. So most of us, we've heard that before. But now, the way Paul says it here is he says rejoice. In other words, if he says it like it's my choice to rejoice, that means I can choose it. Joy is not determined on external factors. Joy is determined on what happens in here. My choice to have joy in the midst of when it sucks. Now, the filter tells me something different. The voice tells me something different. The voice that is the thing that I can either meditate on, focus on, or I can say to the voice, okay, jy kan nou stil bly. It's time for me to think. I choose joy. Even when my car breaks, even when this happens, even when I lose my job, even whatever happens to me, I can choose to rejoice. I can choose to smile. And it's actually magic. It's actually magic. Not really, but it's magic. Because the power in choice is so important. The power in not allowing your programming to determine the state of your life is so important. So the first thing I would say is choose joy. Choose joy. And yes, I can feel you thinking that I don't live your life, but I live my life, and I know this is hard. But you can choose joy. Verse 5 says, let your gentleness be known to all men. The Lord is at hand. He says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind. So let's just look at that. Firstly, he says, don't be anxious. Don't be fearful. Don't stress. Don't worry about things. Instead, do this. Talk to God. Talk to him again, and then you moan a little bit. Supplication is sort of a smeek. So it's moaning. The Bible says we're allowed to moan in our prayers. But what happens is, now once again, the biology is this. When I am anxious and fearful and stressed out and worried, nothing I see in life is logic anymore. There's no truth in it, because the part of the brain that works with fear, anxiety, and stress has no logic connected to it. So check this cool psychology, biology thing that Paul says. Don't fear, because that part of your brain is a bit dumb. Instead, go to God, speak to God about it, keep on speaking to God about it, and not just will God intervene, but your thinking's going to change. Because you've moved that illogic fear from that part of your brain into logic thinking, and you brought the things in darkness into light. Thank you, Renee. You should teach these people. And then he says, I love this. So the promise is connected to that work. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind. Okay, so remember where we started off with, Jesus says, the greatest commandment is this, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, or body, mind, same thing. He says here, if you are anxious and fearful, you won't be able to live in the peace of God, live in the joy of God, unless you make fear or take the power of fear away from your life. Jesus says, don't worry about anything. Look at the birds in the sky. Look at the lilies in the field. If I provide for them, how much more will I provide for you? If God the Father loves us so much that He would send the Son, Jesus, for us, how much more will He give us everything we need? So what did we just do now? We took the fear and we gave it instruction. And that's the trick. If that voice starts telling you, be stressed out, be fearful, be anxious, you should tell it, well, my Jesus said something different. My Jesus says, don't worry. The word says, rejoice, have joy, have peace. And then you guide, lead that voice. I want to say this, and this is an important thing of who you are. Those voices you hear, like I said earlier, is not all negative. They can actually serve you to become truly who you are. The trick is that you should not give them free rein to just keep on talking. You should tell them what to do. There's a couple, okay, let's just, I'll get there now. Let's just carry on reading verse 8. Finally, brethren, which means bros, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are good, are of good report, if there is any value and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. The things which you learned and received and heard and saw in me, these do, and the God of peace will be with you. And see what Paul says. He says, teach your brain new pathways, a new language. Meditation for Christians is not like meditation in the Eastern religions where you hum. And meditation for us is not emptying yourself. Meditation for us is filling yourself. And it's giving your mind better things to focus on. And that is how we get control over those voices. That voice says, you're a loser, and you give it something better, I'm a conqueror. And it's not positive thinking. Positive thinking is stupid. Where you stand in the mirror and tell yourself, jy's awesome, jy's awesome, jy's awesome. It's like, eventually you're like, ek's nie awesome nie, want ek staan nie en kyk vir myself en ek sê vir ek's awesome. That doesn't work. You have to replace the system with a better system. A true system, the truth. Tanya, is she okay? So, yeah, what do we focus on? So, a couple of the voices. we've touched on the inner critic. The inner critic is that guy that tells you you're not good, you're a failure. If you make a mistake, that Okie is loud. He's just, see, I told you. And I want to say there's two of these voices. One is spiritual, demonic, the devil, but the other one is part of who you are. And the inner critic should not be the inner critic, it should be the inner motivator. So we should change the inner critic to become the motivator. So you teach that voice to be a better voice. Whenever that voice becomes loud, you tell it to shut up. And this is weird, but it works. The other day I was actually thinking of this voice as a person sitting next to me in the car, and we had a conversation. 100%. But that works. The middle one doesn't work. But it should almost be like that, that you take control over your own thinking. And you kill all the lies, all the negativity, all the experiences, all the hurt, all the trauma that's been done to you, through you, or by you, and you take control of those things, because if we don't take control of it, it will control us. The next one is the procrastinator. We're good friends. And the procrastinator is that one that will tell you, don't start that project now, or don't do this now, you can do it later, or if you just give yourself 10 minutes, or just one more episode, or just this, and almal wat nou gelag het is skuldig. And what happens is comfort becomes more important if you listen to this voice. So what do we say to the procrastinator? We say to the procrastinator, listen here, get up, yeah. But like also, the procrastinator is not going to listen to you, because he's going to say, you're going to get up just a bit later. He's going to say, you should go for a run, but just lay down a little bit, and then you can go for the run. Julle ken daai stemmetjie, né? So the procrastinator, you should give values to. You should say to the procrastinator, listen here, we're in the same head here. And if we want to reach something, we have to do it now. Why? Because we value this more than finishing the season or just sitting and doing nothing. You see, the values are the things that drive us, unless the voice of the procrastinator is louder than my values. If my value is, I want to be healthy, you want to lose weight, the procrastinator will tell you, not today. My values should be, well, now, because it's a value. It's something important to me. The people pleaser, gaan nie vir julle kyk nie. But the people pleaser is a, once again, somewhere, maybe the way you grew up, maybe you worked for a boss, maybe in school or somewhere, you learned if you just give people what they want and need, either they leave you alone or they like you more. And then in the process of continuously pleasing people, you destroy your own self. And then you start believing that you are not good enough, because it's always about other people. Then you are not able to go to a boss and ask for the raise, because if I ask the boss for a raise, I'm not pleasing him. I'm making it uncomfortable for him. Meanwhile, you can't buy bread for your kids, but you're pleasing this boss. You can't stand up for your values, because if I stand up for my values, maybe I'm just going to offend someone, and if I offend them, then they're not going to like me. So stop that. and this is really a tough one, because once again, this thing has served you. If we like it comfortable, we like to listen to this guy, because this guy makes things comfortable for a while, but it also steals your future from you. And I go back to what Jesus said when he gives us the second commandment. He says, and this one is as important. He says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Don't overlove yourself. It's not all about you, but I know most of you, it's not a problem. Start loving yourself enough to stand up for yourself. Somebody told me this once. A pastor friend of mine told me this. He said, you need to make peace with this fact in life. A third of people will love you. A third of people will hate you. And a third of people just don't care. And if you can make peace with that fact, you just focus on the people that love you and you forget about the rest. And then the people that truly love you will not expect you to please them. They would actually want to help you to be better, healthy, and strong and growing. Maak dit sin, né? The warrior, not warrior, warrior. Warrior. Not fighting, stabbing yourself. So that's what worry do. We spoke about it quite a lot now. Anxiety, stress. We should give him a new truth. Because fear is not supposed to hurt us or to stop us. Fear is something that has to protect us. And if the things we are scared of is illogical, we should know this thing should not be stopping me. And most of our fears is illogical, is something we shouldn't be afraid of. And the moment we live in that mindset, that worry, fearful mindset, you really become dumb. I said this last week, is the biology works that way, that when you are fearful, your body releases a steroid called cortisol. I never can pronounce that thing. Cortisol. And here's the real crazy thing. What cortisol does is it tells you, listen here, whatever you eat, turn it to fat. Because it's famine or it's dangerous things, and you don't know if you're going to be able to eat now. And so because of that, your body just goes into the system of storing, and then with that storing, it says, what we should do is we should take all the blood in the body and move it to the legs and the arms. Because if you need to run, you need to be able to run. And if you need to fight, you need to be able to fight. And so your body in that state is not functioning in a healthy way. And get why fear is such a problem. So it's not just that, the blood in your brain actually lowers and it goes to your extremities. The taskmaster, the perfectionist, he's part of the inner critic, I would say. I think they're good neighbors. But we are so hard on ourselves. We break ourselves down because we don't do things as perfect as we want to. We see mistakes as final judgments, and we see mistakes as the end of the world. Because when I make a mistake, I make it this big thing. Everyone else can do the same thing. It's not a problem. God's got grace for you, not for me. For you, God's got grace. It's not true. The truth is, that voice is lying to you. A mistake is not the end. A mistake is the opportunity to learn and to become better. Don't be a perfectionist. Don't think you have to have everything perfect. Nobody expects that from you. As a matter of fact, some things in life you will suck at. For two reasons. One, if you were perfect at everything, you don't need Jesus. Two, if you were perfect at everything, you don't need other people. And the last one is the rebel. Now, once again, this voice is supposed to serve us. When somebody is in leadership over your life, you should be able to know when this guy is dangerous, or when this guy is lying to you, and then you must be able to rebel against bad leadership or dangerous leadership. But now, this voice is like, no. All leadership is bad. All authority is bad. If somebody tells me what to do, I'll prove you I'm going to do it. And I'll prove it to you, even though it's going to hurt me, just because you said it, I'm still going to do it. Yeah. See that attitude, that yes, if we do things just to make a point, we're not in control. And that steals the direction of your future. So don't do that. Don't be a rebel. Okay, so this is me closing. Importantly, just great tools to take control of your thinking. First one is the first week we spoke about, understanding and wisdom. We need to get understanding and wisdom. Understanding of who I am, and understanding of what my voices say. And while we study these things, is in our studying we get understanding, but then we also get wisdom. Wisdom is how to fix things. It is the manual of how to fix these things then. So how do we fix these things? The first one is to get perspective. Perspective mostly only happens through exposure and through conversation. Conversation either with God, which is the first prize, or with somebody. The other one's exposure. If you live in your system, okay, let's use houses, families. If the way you do life as your family in your house is the only way you know how families should function, that family can be totally unhealthy, totally abusive, totally wrong, but that's the system you know, that's your normal. So exposure is you are around people that do life differently, and then you realize and learn it could be different. Perspective, awareness is part of it. When we start understanding who we are, we start learning to be aware of these voices. Because already after today, you're going to leave here, and then some of you will start recognizing, oh shucks, that's what Daniel was talking about. And simply just being aware of what you do gives you power to control those things. This one is super important. Gratitude. Gratitude is a superpower. So, just a quick infomercial. The 2nd of November, we're going to have a Thanksgiving service. We're going to change the name to Gratitude Service. So we're going to come together and we're just going to be grateful. Grateful about life, grateful about us, grateful about us as a church, and mostly grateful to God for what He does for us and through us. So we'll send the information about that. But the point is that the moment you start thanking God, or not just thanking God, but just being grateful for the things in your life, other things, bad things, become way smaller. But the moment that the wrong things in my life, the bad things, the failures, the mistakes, politics, fear, politicians become bigger than my gratitude, I've got a problem. And then the voices in my head go, the voices in my head becomes too strong. I heard this funny joke this week. Politics. What is politics? Politics, the word poly means many. The word tick is a blood-sucking animal. So politics is it's a whole lot of blood-sucking animals. That was funny. Dit was funny as wat julle gelag het, okay? But if these things become too big in my thinking, if you get lost on YouTube and you spend hours looking at everything that's wrong in the world, it's going to impact your heart and your thinking. And you have to offset that with what Paul said. Think on good things, think on pure things. Focus on things above, not on things here on earth. Gratitude gives us perspective, and it gives us control over our lives again. When we, I'm the first one to say it. Like, I can be overcome with sadness and depression because my focus is lost. What we focus on is what we'll get. You will always get, I shared this with James this week, you will always get in your life what you focus on, what you celebrate, and what you tolerate. Okay? Just think about those things. So what you think about, the things you are grateful for, the things you celebrate, and then the things you allow in your life, the things you tolerate, those are the things you will always get in life. So ask yourself, what are those things? What things am I celebrating, focusing on, and tolerating? Amen. Julle wil slaap, so ek gaan hom ophou. Okay. So it's the important stuff, and the first step is just start becoming aware of the voices, and then start taking control of them. Amen.